Hey guys, welcome back to the course. In the last topic, we had a quick introduction to the videography. So in this video, we will be understanding the different camera settings. Modern cameras have what seems to be an infinite number of camera settings for video, but there's actually only 9 that you really need to focus on to create a quality video, which are video resolution, frame rate, video bitrate, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, white balance, setting the microphone, and locking the focus. Now let's discuss the various camera settings. The first setting is the video resolution. Video resolution refers to the overall quality of the video and it's based on pixel count. The higher the pixel count, the better the resolution and the crispier the footage. A good rule of thumb to follow is to always start at the highest resolution possible. Now in this photo the highest resolution possible is 8K, which is 7680 cross 4320 pixels. If you need to lower the resolution later on, you can do that in the video editing phase. As you can see, we have all the different types of resolutions. The next setting is frame rate. Frame rate is measured in frames per second. The rate of FPS, frames per second, is what makes up the movement of your video. This camera setting is an easy one to set since the default is 30 FPS for the NTSC region. In most cases, this frame rate works well, especially for those you who are uploading on YouTube. If you want to go for a more cinematic look, you might consider lowering the frame rate to 24 FPS. You can see in the photos as 1 second of animation. The 60 FPS means that in 1 second there are 60 frames recorded, while the 12 FPS means that in 1 second 12 frames are recorded. You can see in the as an example of the given below. The next setting comes video bitrate. The bitrate is essentially the amount of data captured to build up the resolution within every frame of the video and is measured in megabits per second or Mbps. A higher bitrate means that more data is captured, which also means you will be working with a larger file. Setting the bitrate depends entirely on camera you are using since every device offers access to different bitrates. The next setting is shutter speed. It also helps to determine the exposure and brightness of the shot, so needless to say, this is an important setting to understand. The frame rate settings you have selected is what determines the ideal shutter speed for your video. The general rule of thumb is for the shutter speed to be double the frame rate. So if the frame rate you have is of 30 FPS, would mean a shutter speed of 60. You can see in the photo attached that slower shutter speed will have a somewhat blurry image, while the faster shutter speed will have a precise image. Next is aperture. Adjusting your aperture means adjusting the opening in the camera lens to increase or reduce the amount of light in the shot. Widening the lens opening or decreasing the aperture creates more light in the shot, while reducing its size or increasing the aperture creates a darker shot. The aperture can change the entire look of the shot, and by adjusting it, you'll be able to do things like blur out the background while keeping the subject in focus. Here we can see some types of aperture size. The first has the lens wide open, while the last one has the lens very narrow. Next is ISO. Piecing together your shutter speed, aperture and our next setting ISO is what truly dedicates the brightness of your shot. These three settings is often called the exposure triangle. ISO is another setting for brightening or darkening your shot. ISO setting depends on making a model of your camera. Most cameras can handle a DSLR video setting of ISO between 800 and 1600. Here is an example of different ISOs. Like in the ISO of 200 we have a darker image, while in the ISO of 1600 we have a more brighter image. The next setting is white balance. White balance is what we can call as color temperature. It is another setting that can drastically change the look or feel of the shot. By setting the white balance incorrectly, the footage could end up looking blue. Many cameras come with present white balance settings. Another option is to manually set the color temperature number, also called the Kelvin number. Here in the image, we can see different types of white balances, while the last one is blue, and the first is, you can say it as a daylight. The next is setting the microphone. Cameras have auto mic settings. It's always best to manually adjust this feature. Many cameras show a visual representation of the video audio in real time. Now, the microphone setting is not always necessary, as not all of our videos can includes audio. So sometimes this setting can be neglected. That's all for this video. Thank you.